Hi kids! How's she looking? She's looking pretty good, isn't it? I find myself being extra particular now that I'm on the home stretch, and there's a lot of little things I need to do. I'm not going to record myself doing it because it's tedious stuff. But like I got springs to put in the little ashtray inside. I just wired up the backup camera and the license plate lights, which they work. I have a connection with somebody that's going to let me use dealer plates until I get everything situated. So A-OK there. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. So reverse camera's done, backup light, well, the lights were done, and then yeah, Ashley wanted a sparkly license plate for her car, and we got her one, and it came with 2 of them. So we used one on hers. Now I didn't have another license plate frame to hold a license plate, and yeah, I had that extra one. So I mean, it's black, so it kind of goes with the theme, but it's sparkly. Now this is the plate I had it registered under. So if I do go through with it, I don't know. I want to do classic tags, but I don't know if I'm going to end up doing it, because I got to check into it and see how the process is going to be. Anyways, I threw the bed liner in off camera. I did power wash it and stuff, and there's still a couple areas that like the stuff didn't come out of, but it still looks pretty decent and representable anyways. And I added some screws into it. Now this bed already had holes in it, so there was already holes here. So I just put a screw in there and a screw in there because his ends wanted to flap down. And then the end of this wanted to flip up, which it still kind of does, and I could put extra screws in it, but I really don't want to add a lot of screws. So I have 3 across here, and then those 2 on the sides, and that's it. That's all that holds this in. And then it tucks up under the bed rails, which is fun to do. But we got her. Now the next tedious thing we got to do is I got to put all the latches and stuff for the tailgate. Now that's one thing I'm worried about. I don't know. I have not test fitted this tailgate, which I put the roll pan on, and now I'm like, the roll pan's easy enough to adjust. Okay, I can move the roll pan easy enough. I just have self tappers in it, and then I have a couple clamps down along the bottom of it, which hold them in place. So need be, it needs to move, but I'm just worried about chipping the paint and stuff. You know what I mean? So I got to be really careful with doing this, but I want to get this back straightened up. So I still had to put the exhaust on. I'm not going to be able to run it in this episode. I got to change that heater core out. I got to do some mechanical stuff. That's probably going to be the next episode, but like I got the temperature sensor for the fuel injection kit to put in. Since I'm draining the coolant to do the heater core, might as well do that. And I have a different thermostat to put in it. Even though we just put one in it, we put a cold one in it because the fans ran continuously. Now the fans are going to be run by the ECU that I'm putting in. So I got to put the temperature sensor for that in so that the computer reads it, so that we can set it however we want it and only one fan run until it needs 2 fans. I like that setup a lot better. Right now, it's just they're either off or they're both on full blast. And when they're on full blast, they're kind of loud, so I'd rather have them controlled by the ECU. So that's what we're probably going to get into next episode. And then I'll probably just rig a switch in so I can flip the fans on, because I'm not doing the fuel injection kit next episode. I want to take this out. I'm going to test it. I got to check. The Pawsey is a whole guessing game to me, whether it's going to be good or not. And I don't know. I feel like I probably just jumped the gun with that, and I probably shouldn't have. This thing doesn't really need, it's built to be more of a cruiser. So the 2-wheel peel thing, I mean, yeah, it's kind of cool, but it's also like, it didn't need it. What I really want to see is the tailgate on without this trim piece, because that's another thing maybe we're going to do in the next, I'd like to get that done. So I got body work to do on this thing. Yeah, it was black. It still is. See? I got all the areas marked out that I needed body work. So we need to make this as smooth as possible, because it's going to be gloss black instead of this solid black that I have. It's going to be sparkle black. So we got to do that in the headlight trims, and we might get into that in the next episode. I want to wait until I can get this thing out of the garage before I do some painting. So, and that's not a lot of painting. So that you know, we can probably jam that in next episode. I don't know yet. All right, so let me reference my pictures, and I'm gonna I have all new parts, I think, for the tailgate here, all the latches and all that stuff. I don't think I have to reuse anything. No, I don't believe so. So with that tailgate, also came with everything you need, and I kept the old tailgate because I do not know how it goes together, but I did take pictures. So there's that. there's that. There's 2 latches. So those bolt on here. Okay, but I have pictures of stuff. I do need to use the rubber stops, and I did keep those. I'm digging through the box and getting the rubber stops out, and then this guy jumps out. Yeah, I don't like you. The spiders in here is becoming more and more. I missed. You. Oh, he's fast. He's a fast one. All right, he's gonna live another day. So there's 2 sets of stops here, and I know one goes here, one might go on the tail, or no, I think another one goes up here. I took pictures, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw these on, and then we'll get into the latches and stuff. Now for my next trick, I'm gonna put all this stuff in the tailgate, and then I have that freshly painted latch, but I'm gonna have to reuse all the bolts. I think I'm gonna touch them up with the black tractor paint. You know, it won't match, but it'll look a little better. So I have the old tailgate there. So I'm going to tear into the old tailgate. I need the hardware off of it because I wish this would have came with new bolts, but it did not. So I'm going to go tear apart the old tailgate so I can see how the innards work, because I don't know which ends of these. Looking at it, yeah, I don't know. It's got these hook ends, and I'm assuming it's going to go in like this maybe. And then pull, but that could also go into the latch ends. I don't know. It's a good thing I kept that old tailgate. It's gonna go to scrap here soon, but it's a good thing I kept it. All right, let's take all this stuff over and then start taking a gander at things. Actually, I just looked at the latch and I already see how it goes. I still don't know, but I do know. But I still have to get all this hardware off of this. So I'm going to do that real quick and steal the 3 bolts out of the handle here. And then I got 4 bolts on the 2 on the latches, 2 on the hinges. So I'm going to go ahead and steal those, and then we'll come back to this because then I'll have hardware. So that was fun. We're having fun, right? Yep, sure. Okay. So these go on just the way I thought they would. This is going to go on here with new bolts. Pretty simple. I don't like how this is curved in right here, but what do? And it's right up against it. So it's more than likely gonna hit. It's more than likely gonna hit. Oh, it's so close. I don't like how that fits. It's crooked. Now my confidence level on this fitting is at an all-time low. So I had to modify those bottom hinges because they looked nothing like the old tailgate. When I put them on there, I had to drill the holes to oblong them so I could, they were on there like the hinges. Okay, so the hinges, they're like this. They were on there like tilted up, and they're supposed to be flat, but they were like this, both sides. So I modified them, drilled the bottom hole so that we bring that in a little bit, and I hammered that top piece because it was like this, so I straightened it out. That's these aftermarket parts, I'm telling you. Now, like I said, the way I'm worried how this is gonna fit, and I hope I don't mess my paint job up, but there's always that possibility. So without further ado, let's get this tailgate on here. Maybe. So just like I said, not happy with the tailgate now that I got it on there, and I kind of figured it was going to go this way, but it is what it is now. It's on there. Look at the price of this is looking grim every time I put a piece on. Yeah. Let's put the cover on. I have it out somewhere. But this is the only way I could get this thing to fit where both latches latch. I knew this side was messed up because the tailgate was messed up, and I had to shim the latch and pry it out, and then I had to shim the latch itself to get it out further, and it's just not, it's not good. The fitment, that is horrid. That's not what you want to see, but like I said, yeah, I should have probably stuck with the factory tailgate, but then it was in really bad shape, so this is what you're gonna get, unfortunately. It does look good with the roll pan. I didn't realize there was such a gap in between them. That's the way they sit, but yeah, it's still all right, I guess. I got this in a little bit more than it was, but I'm just so not happy. It almost looks like it's not latched, but that's just the way it fits, and you can't get it in any further. It's up against here, so it's almost in as tight as it can go. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, kids. It's the bottom of the tailgate. When you shut it, it rubs here and it rubs here. This side actually fit up pretty decent, and this is kind of how I figured it whenever I seen how that was made after I painted it. So here, I'll show it to you. So I guess I can be thankful with everything I'm working with. It actually latches. So this whole surface right here on this is tucked in. It's like this. So the latch, everything on there was tilted in like that. As you can see, this skin right here, this is supposed to be tucked underneath here. What's that rub? Oh, that's these latches rubbing. Yeah. That's supposed to be tucked underneath here. And you can see they overlapped it right there. It's catching because it's so far out of place. But that's supposed to bring that whole piece. I'll show you the other side. So this is how it's supposed to be. You see how it's tucked in? You got a whole 1/4 of an inch right there where it makes this whole surface flat, which makes everything work. This side, that's how it was. So you got a whole 1/4 inch that it's deflected in, and it just throws everything off. And then you see how the hinges fit? What? They're not. I modified that, so that's actually better than it was. you get what I'm saying? That's better than it was. Look how that one fits. So aftermarket parts for these are no good. No good. I'm just gonna ignore that, and we're gonna put the bed cover on because that's why. Well, the battery's going dead in this camera, but this is where I'm gonna have to cut you off for today. Tomorrow, I'm gonna go ahead and throw the exhaust on tonight, so it's on there. I still, man, maybe I might be able to drive this thing. I gotta put the fuel neck in and the fuel door. That's really not a lot of work. And then, then we gotta fix that coolant leak, which is a heater core, and do a couple other things that I still don't think we're gonna get to drive it today. I think that's gonna, or this video, I think that's gonna be in the next video. It looks good all together. I'm still upset with that tailgate fitment, but there's really nothing I can do at this point. And there's really nothing I could have did even at any point. It's just, it's made so badly. That's, should have found a good one on Marketplace or something. It kind of makes me think, I'm glad that I didn't buy bedsides online. They were $3,500, but the way everything else fit, them bedsides, I'm almost certain that we would have had more fitment problems with everything. So, truck looks good still. I'm not too mad. Okay, I was sick all this morning. Just not thrown up, not good stuff. I'm better now. I don't know, this only ever happened to me one other time. I'm gonna give you two really good pieces of advice here. Okay, very first one is if you get paint overspray on something, they say use clay bar to get it off. These inner fenders, I painted them and they had a lot of overspray on them, so let me show you. Haven't touched this one yet. You see that? Look at this one. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm telling you what takes that off. They said use clay bar. Clay bar did nothing. You know what did work? Never dull. This is for like polishing metal, so I'm going to use it on them valve covers because that's going to be perfect for them. But this took the overspray off, just scrubbing it with a couple pieces of that and then wiping it off. Now I can see slight scratches in it, but I also used this is basically acetone, and it did nothing. Like, it's not, it did a little bit, but nothing compared to the Never Dull. Second piece of advice for you guys is there's going to be a review later in this video, and I'm sure they're not watching right now at this moment. There are better options. I'm just going to say that right now. The thing I'm going to review, there are better options in the same price range. So just take that with a grain of salt. Anyways, now that we all know that, we can just keep that to ourselves, and don't mention anything in the comments. How about that? I think I'm going to take a little bit of time and go ahead and use that Never Dull in here and clean up the rest of the areas that I can't. I'm still going to power wash this when I get it outside and stuff. I want to thoroughly clean it before we start doing the fuel injection and stuff like that. And I plan on driving this thing, but that's going to be the next episode. So let me finish polishing some of this stuff out, and then we're going to drop the coolant out, and we're going to put the new heater core in that hopefully will not leak. I don't even know where I put it, but we're going to put that in, and I got to find it. Where did I put it? All right, so I found it. New heater core, which they're fairly cheap, but I don't want this leaking in there. We don't need heat. I could just loop it and call it a day, but I'm like, I got to drain the coolant out anyways to put a new temperature sensor in and to put the new thermostat in. So there's a new heater core. Looks pretty nice. I think it's a fairly easy job on these. I don't know. Here's the new headlight surrounds. I got them. They're brand new. We got to paint those. We got to paint that rear trim piece. I'm not worried about them for the first test drive. We'll do that later. Let me polish this up, and I'll show you guys what it looks like when I'm done. Now that is already looking 10 times better, and it's still pretty dirty. It needs to be washed, but now that the inner fenders have a little bit of a shine to them, a little bit better. They're still not perfect, but way, way better than they were. And then I polished the coolant neck, and I did the valve covers because they were the nastiest, and this is still have lots of Never Dull left, and that's how much I used right there. You have to use like a fresh piece on the painted surfaces. It seems to work a lot better. And then I use the pieces that I had left over from that to polish the valve covers, because it works a lot better on metal than it does paint. But I'm just surprised how good it works on overspray on paint. Honestly, that look, you can see the metallic in it again. Check that out. Anyways, now that we're done goofing off with that, I need to drain the coolant, which there is a drain valve right here, which is gonna spill it all over the place down there, all over the power steering pump. But we're gonna wash it. We're gonna wash it later. And I think I've said this in a previous episode, do not use Eastwood exhaust paint on headers. It looked good. It just wipes off now. There's flakes all over the place because my rag, when I was polishing that, touched it. And it just flakes off. They can't hold up to the heat, even though it's exhaust paint. So yeah, they look halfway decent, but I wish they looked a lot better than they do. But there's nothing I can do about it at this point. All right. So yeah, let's get the coolant drained out of this thing. Then hopefully I don't make a huge mess right here when I take the neck off and put the new thermostat in. Then I got to get that coolant sensor out, which I might have to move the alternator to do that, which it's easy enough to do too. I need to get the temperature sensor out of the kit, because I'm putting the kit on for the Aces. So I need to find the temp sensor that's in here to go in this car. There she is. So we're going to use this in place of the temperature sensor I have, and I don't know what threads it is. I put this plug in there because the threads on that sensor weren't big enough. I don't know what threads that is, if it's the bigger or not. We'll figure it out. Wire that I have attached to it now, I'm just going to run a wire inside, and I have like flip switches. All that is a ground that toggles the relays that kicks the fans on. So temporarily I'm gonna have a switch inside that I can just flip for turning on the fans. So when I test drive it, I can, you know, kick the fans on and make sure this thing doesn't get too hot. So real quick off camera, I went ahead and routed my wire back there through that loom there. Speaker wire, speaker wire in where I guess that's the transmission cable. It fit through the grommet. There was enough play in it. So I just fished it through there. Now it's a dual speaker wire, and all I did was use both wires. You see what I mean? Routed it in, grounded it to the dash. Oh, the fans didn't kick on. So I must have them wired to power. What did I do with the keys? I just had them. Did not realize I had them wired to key on power, the fans. But that's also very nice, because then when I turn the key off, I don't have to worry about them keeping running. But right now the key's on. This is just a temporary solution, kids. This is not permanent. right. All right, so my biggest dilemma right now is that with the new sensor in, it's a little bit longer than the old one. And if you don't notice, the old one, I bent the tab over because it was so close to the alternator where it's at. So the only way to fix that is, and honestly, I think it needs that anyways. It needs the alternator moved up. It was pretty tight. And I have a belt that's running around the crank and then up around the water pump. Honestly, it just needs to go around the water pump and then to the alternator. And you think about it. Let's look down here on things. So if you think about it, originally I was running it around, down to the crank, and then back up. The crank's already running the water pump, so it'll be spinning because of the crank. So if I put the belt on here and just go around the alternator, then the pressure here, right now, that belt's pushing this way on the water pump. If I have it right here, it's going to be pushing the exact opposite direction at the alternator, and that's going to put less stress on those water pump bearings. And in a sense, it should last longer. That's probably the way I should have did it. But I think I was trying to find a belt, and I bought a couple of them, and that was the closest one I could get. And I don't know how you go by measurements, but it would either have to be longer than this, or it needs to be this length. And I think I was looking for longer ones, and this was all I came up with. I don't remember looking for shorter ones. I don't remember looking for one like that. So I think we're going to try to do that, and it should work out pretty good. I'm going to add coolant to this thing, and I will fire it up, but the alternator is not going to be working. So I'll just make sure the fan's running and everything, and then we don't have any coolant leaks. Well, everything checks out. There's no leaks. Of course, there's no leaks, but having that on there, I didn't have the system pressurized. So there's still that possibility that there could be leaks, but I think the heater core is going to be good. I didn't check the heat when I had it running, but the temperature got up pretty quick, and it stabilized right below 200, which is, before it was set to the fans to kick on at 160. I turned the fans on when it got up to about 200, and it worked pretty good. It stayed pretty stable right around there. So I'd say, well, those gauges, it's hard to gauge where it's actually reading. Now, whenever I get this temperature sensor hooked up and I have that computer hooked up, I'll actually be able to see the numbers, which I like that a lot better than just seeing a gauge. Everything's good. So yes, I know I said I was gonna review a drone in this episode, but to make it safer on me, we're gonna do that in the next episode. So when you see that, you can get a DJI Mini, 4K Mini for right around the same price. Get that one. I'm not saying this thing's not bad. It's okay. It's just not DJI good. In fact, to the point where I told them I would compare it to my DJI drone, and they told me to please do not do that. That's what this company told me. Please do not compare it to a DJI drone. Okay. At least they know where they sit. So yeah, and it's going to be more purposeful on the next episode, since I'm actually going to get to drive it and get it out. It's not going to be 100%, but we're driving this, and that's going to be tomorrow, but I'm driving this thing. But this thing sounds sweet, it looks sweet, and I can't wait to get it out tomorrow. Now I got to get a belt tomorrow, hopefully, but if I don't, I can run with this one. Actually, I can run with this one regardless. So I should probably just run with this one. I'm gonna take it with me. If I can get if I can't get a shorter belt, then I'll get a longer belt. It's gonna be like that. So if you like this video, smash that like button, consider subscribing. Hit that dislike button if your mom just wants me to take my belt off. And we'll see you on the next episode on Red. What are you doing? Oh, he's a big yawny. Big yawny. He's our watchdog. He looks out the windows all the time. Stewbean, are you sleepy? Hey. Hey. I'm talking to you. He's an old man. Look at this guy. I caught you. He's sleepy. Sleepy.
He was on my lap and he decided to go over there.
He's so soft. I can't get over it. Always on our window shelf. What are you doing? Do you want to say bye to the folks? Nope. Alright. Do you want to say bye to the folks? What's that face? Do you want to say bye? There's nothing out there.